welcome to the Hotel News Now podcast. I'm H&N Managing Editor Robert McCune, and today, in recognition of Black History Month, we're going to be talking about Black hotel history. And I don't know anyone who knows more about Black hotel history than my guest and friend, Calvin Stovall. Calvin is a keynote speaker, author, and hospitality historian with nearly 30 years of experience in the hospitality industry. And Calvin's been working on a book, soon to be on the nightstands and bookshelves of hoteliers everywhere, that chronicles the impact that Black Americans have had on the hotel industry since the late 18th century. Calvin, thank you for being here.
Hey, I'm excited to be here, Robert. Thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you.
Absolutely. Hey, Calvin, to get us started, you have a mantra that I just love: be iconic. We're going to hear about some icons featured in your book, but first, tell us, what does it mean to you to be iconic?
Oh wow. Well, you know what? I love iconic brands and brands that are able to continue to thrive regardless of all the madness that's going on around them, and continue to stay relevant. So any brands that are iconic, or even people that are iconic that are able to, stay relevant, continue to learn, continue to grow, continue to be successful and thrive in even in challenging environments. That's what iconic is all about. It's a mindset. And any hotel can be iconic, any brand, any person. It's all up in your head. It's how you perceive and look at things, and um, how you move forward. One of my favorite sayings is, life is not, what is it? Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. That's an iconic mindset. That's an
Yeah,
iconic mindset. Yeah, yeah,
iconic
yeah,
mindset. I love that,
yeah.
man. That's great. Yeah. So
Yeah.
let's talk about your icon that you've created
Uh-huh.
in the hospitality space. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about how you got started. Tell us about your hotel history. What if you've been doing this for some time? You're pretty, like, yeah, like you're a face. People see you out at events. They know who you are. You're pretty well
Mhm.
recognized. Like you're
Wow,
an
thank you.
icon, I would say, in this industry. So let's talk about that icon.
Oh wow, thank you. That was very complimentary of you. So man, you know what? I've been in the industry for a long time. I bleed hospitality. I'm actually a native Chicagoan. My first job actually was at a front desk clerk at a Holiday Inn in downtown Chicago, and I've been in the industry pretty much ever since. Worked at several hotels there. I ended up going, have an undergraduate from Chicago State University, and then ended up going to Cornell's hotel school, their master's program, master professional studies there. And after that, I ended up moving, relocating to Memphis, Tennessee to work for, it was then Promise Companies, where they own Harrah's and Embassy and Hampton and Homewood. And of course, coming from being a Chicago boy, going down to the South, that was a different experience for me, but truly enjoyed it, and ended up, uh, working at AGM at the Embassy Suites there. Then transitioned into corporate. Long story short, just brand research for a while, and then ended up vice president of brand marketing for Homewood Suites by Hilton. Uh, I was with Homewood when they only had 35 hotels at the time, and Residence 10 was like the giant monster we needed to catch. But of course, now I don't know how many hotels Homewood has, but I know there's several hundred of them now for sure.
Yeah.
But had a wonderful experience with them, but also worked in the nonprofit space a little bit with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, in their ALSAC arm where they do fundraising. And then also, I love music. I love soul music. It's all in my speeches and my keynotes as well. So I actually was the CEO of the Soulsville Foundation, which is based in Memphis, and which is built out of Stax Records recording studio. They have a Stax Museum of American Soul Music on the campus, also a charter school, and also a after-school music program for at-risk youth. So did that for a while, but now I'm still doing speaking. I have my own company called Iconic Presentations,
Yeah.
and I speak for organizations, mostly hospitality, but also healthcare, as well as real estate management companies. And I talk about how you could be iconic, how you can really stand out with iconic guest experiences, and an engaged team, and how much, because leadership is everything.
Yeah.
And I talk because I just truly believe you can't have a positive guest experience without a positive employee experience. So I talk a lot about how you got to make sure your team is engaged and they're, rallying around the vision and all of that. But I have a great time doing that. I love inspiring people. Love being on the platform and just having a good time. And so this book is kind of a natural part of me. I've always loved Black history. Robert has always been a part of me, even as a kid. So this having an opportunity to write about these, I like to call them hidden figures of hospitality.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just it's very important to me, and I just think it's stories that people need to hear and see.
Yeah, Calvin, I want to hear, we've talked about your book a number of times over the past year. Calvin and I started talking about this book last year for History
Yeah,
Month.
yeah.
And he started writing Calvin's Restoration In, and we'll get to that. I want to talk a little bit more about your story, that you talk about inspiration, you talk about energy, bringing energy and inspiration to everything that you do. That first hotel job for you, was it just a job, or like, what made you get started as a front desk clerk? Like, what was in your mind at the
Man,
time, and how did it become a career? We talk a lot about how people turn a job into a career, right, in the hotel industry, and just the advancement opportunities. And I know there's a big push for that now, to get young people into the industry, but particularly young people of color, right? So
hmm
talk about your inspiration and sort of like how that developed. You gave us the sort of the resume speech, but talk a little bit about what the energy was at the time.
Well, it was a growing time when I got into it, because this you're talking about the late '80s. So probably telling my age there, but that's okay. But actually, believe it or not, I went to a vocational school. I was actually on the path to be an architect. Isn't that crazy?
Okay.
So I was majoring. I majored in drafting and all of that. And actually, right out of high school, because I didn't go immediately to college. I worked a few years at a engineering company as a draftsman, apprentice draftsman or whatever you want to
Okay.
call it. And so I mean, it was cool. But I'm a high energy guy. It just wasn't. I can tell it just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And so
You were
one day,
looking at blueprints, and you needed to
yeah,
be
man,
you
I
needed to
was
be in a room
delivering. I
full of
was
people.
I was delivering plans. I was just like, man, but it was cool. It paid nice, and it was okay. And so, I actually a friend of mine, I can't remember who it was. His sister was in the hotel industry at the time, and my buddy, his friend, man, I can't remember who told me this. He was like, Calvin, man, my sister's in the hotel industry. You seem like He's like, you don't seem like you would be behind a desk. You
Yeah.
drawing, your energy is
Right.
just different. He was like, man, you should, have you ever thought about the hotel industry? I was like, not really. He's like, man, she's doing well. I think you'll probably like it. So what ended up happening is that at the time there was I kept my day job, and there was it was called Echoes International Hotel School. It was just like you go there at night, take a couple of hotel
Yeah.
classes and stuff like that. And there was an instructor. Her name was Karen. Her name is Karen Sock now. She wasn't married at the time. It was Karen Mack, and she's an African American woman. And she just loved my energy. She was a GM at that Holiday Inn, and she was like, Calvin, I love your energy. Come work for me.
Yeah.
And that's how it started. That was it. So I quit the drafting job, and I went over to work for Karen, and then that was it. I was bit by the bug. Karen, she was very instrumental in my development, professionally, personally. She was like, "You got to go get you a degree, man." So I ended up working full time at the front desk and going full time at night to night school. I got out in 4 years and then just went on to Cornell. But Karen, we're still friends today, actually.
That's
But
great.
she was very instrumental in my growth. Throughout my hospitality career, I've had people that was just um, super gracious and nice and cared.
Yeah.
Jim Holthauser was another guy at Homewood Suites that helped me develop as well. I had a lot of people along the way help me. Gloria Cook, just a lot of people that were just poured into me, man, and helped me get to where I am. I didn't get here alone, of course. Good Lord above was always over it, but he just helped me run into some great people. And I've
Yeah,
just, it's just been a great career. It's just like boom, 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 boom. And now here I am, you
yeah,
know. But but it didn't happen alone by any means.
yeah. Well, it
Yeah.
sounds a little like serendipity, but I mean, it's just you were in the right place at the right time. You met the
Yeah.
right people that sort of like helped you along. Not everybody has that experience getting into an
Yeah.
industry. So I mean, that's great that you did. But like, what advice would you have to someone that was thinking about it, or maybe was just looking for a career change and might think about hospitality?
Yeah.
What was the first lesson you learned about it that really kind of surprised you too?
I think the first lesson about hospitality for me was, I think a lot of people, even particularly back then, um, you don't think about the corporate side of it. Everybody thinks it's just hotels, and so, and which is great. I mean, I'm
Right.
glad I got that property level experience. It's everything because you understand what your staff deals with on a day to day. But a lot of people don't know there's like this whole backside of where all of the, marketing happens for a
Hmm.
brand, and all of the, reservation stuff happens for a brand, and operations for a brand. But I was fortunate enough, um, running into people, and I kind of knew where I was headed. I wanted to be a vice president for a
Yeah.
hotel company. So I kind of, I ran into the right people to help me along the way, but you got to kind of know where you want to go too. But I just think, and I know you say people always say, man, I want to do what I'm passionate about, and I'm a super believer in that. I think everybody has a gift, everybody has talents, and if you can get that intersection of what you're passionate about, and you have the skill set, and you can do it. And so I just think that, um, and ask for advice. I get
Yeah.
networking is everything, man. It's not,
Right.
um, who knows who and all of that. It means everything. And it came back to me again as I was writing this book. I mean, there were so many people that, I was like, wow, let me call this person, let me call this person. So you just never know when somebody in your network is going to be helpful to you. So you
Hmm.
always got to be thinking about, um, who can I connect with? And it's not always take, take, take. You want to make sure you're trying to give back as well.
Yeah.
But networking and knowing people it means a lot, particularly if you're in a trying to grow your career. It
Yeah.
means everything. And asking for advice. And it's okay, man. You don't have to know all the answers, bro. It's always somebody else knows the answer for you. But you got
That's
to be
right. That's
willing to
right.
be humble enough to ask for help when you need it.
Yeah. I had a
Yeah.
similar experience, when I started covering the industry. Is that, you think about the hotel industry, and it's really a microcosm of the world,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
it
there's
is.
so many pieces of it, really. Like,
Yeah.
like, it starts with the people, but there's just like so many avenues you can go in.
Right.
You can do, like you said, there's the marketing side of it, there's the sales side of it, there's the revenue side of it,
Yeah.
there's the upfront desk, like, connecting with people side of
Man.
it. There's
So
everything you
many
can
food
think
and
of.
beverage. I mean, it's like that's
Right.
the thing. It's a get. There is in the hospitality industry. There is everything you can. I don't. It's so many things that you can branch off into, but you got to take the time to look into it.
Right.
And I just think it's just a fabulous industry. I've been blessed to be able to run into so many people and meet so many people and have my hands in so many different kinds of projects.
Mm.
And I did love working on the property level, but again, I'm a pretty driven guy. And so being in corporate as a vice president was a big deal for me.
Yeah.
And so, I was blessed to be able to do it and then work with a fabulous team and leader, which was also great, so, yeah, it's been great, man. It's been great.
Yeah. Well, it seems like there's just so much opportunity right now for anyone really to get into
Yeah.
the industry. Like you said, I mean, there's a lot of jobs out there right now for people that want to get started in hotels. It wasn't always the case, and it
Right.
certainly wasn't always the
Right.
case for Black people in the and really any industry, but the
Right.
hospitality industry wasn't an easy one to crack. So let's
Hmm.
transition now and talk about some of these stories that you're telling in your book. So your book, tell us about it, with the title.
Uh-huh.
Tell us
Well,
what sort of the seed of the idea like
the
that you
seed,
had. Like
right? How did it start?
yeah, yeah.
Well, so it actually started. I call it. Well, the name of the book is Hospitality Historiography, and I don't know if that will continue to be the title. We'll see, but that's what it started as. It was actually a monograph from graduate school, at Cornell, and so a good friend of mine who I'm working with now, Evan Frazier, he was the chairperson of the National Society of Minority Hoteliers. They actually started at Cornell. They have chapters nationwide now, but he wanted me to try to do some research on African American hotel ownership, historic perspective, right? For a conference they were planning. And so I was like, wow, I never really thought about that. And so, of course, man, Robert, man, I got into it, man, and I went way back, man. I was looking at stuff on microfiche, okay? And
Yeah, you found the rabbit hole.
I know some of your listeners are like, what the heck is microfiche? My,
Oh man,
my,
I'll date myself too. But I've run that microfiche machine myself too. I remember that those
Oh
days.
man, man, turning and doing all that.
Yep.
So I was looking at, I mean, articles from like the 1900s. I got fascinated by it, and it ended up becoming my monograph. And it was just called Hospitality Historiography, an African American Perspective. And so it became my monograph. They put it in a nice, of course they have a copy, but they put it in a nice black binder with some nice gold lettering for you to take. Um, so you fast forward, what, about 20 years or so, I was cleaning out some boxes and I found it. I was like, wow, I was like, look at my mind. So I was going through, I was like, man, this is so cool. It was a friend of mine was here and she was like, what is that? I was like, well, it's my monograph. It's called Hospitality Historiography. She was like, what the heck is that? What is that about? I said, well, it's about Black hotel ownership starting about the 1700s all the way through. She was like, what? We owned hotels? That was her exact reaction. So she grabs it and she's going through, right? And she's like, oh my God, this is, I can't believe, she's like, is this a book? And it was just
Really?
like that.
Yeah, could be, right? So
And that was it. And so I started looking because I didn't want it to be I mean, it has a long subtitle. The subtitle is Inspiring Stories of African American Hoteliers and Industry Pioneers Who Revolutionized the Hospitality Landscape. And so, like I said, they're like these hidden figures that people don't know about. And
yeah,
so, I didn't want it to be all text. I wanted to have pictures. I wanted to have pictures of the hotelier and the properties just to make it more engaging. And so I found Brown Books Publishing. They do a great job on coffee table books, which is what it's going to be. And so I have researched. Oh, because what she asked me, Millie is her name that owns the publishing. She's like, because I gave her a copy of the monograph, and she was like, "Can you find more stories?" I was like, well, let me see. Man, Robert, I started going down rabbit holes,
yeah.
brother, and I found so many great stories. Um,
How were you
uh,
surprised that they went back as far as they did to the 1700s? You're talking about like, yeah, 18th century, 1700s,
yes,
because
yes,
I know, like a lot of people probably think about Black hotel history, and maybe the first thing they think about is the Green Book, and that's like in the 1960s,
that
right?
was yeah,
So,
that started
or
in
1930s and 1960s. So,
1333 to
but we're
67.
talking
Oh,
about 200 years before that.
absolutely, absolutely. And I know people are going to be blown away by it.
Yeah.
I mean, the first story in the book begins with um, Rachel Pringle Polgreen. She owned a hotel in Barbados. It was actually a hotel tavern called the Royal Navy in Bridgetown, Barbados. But we go all the way through Black hotel ownership through the Jim Crow era, Renaissance era, the 20s, 30s, civil rights, and then until today.
Yeah.
So there's a last chapter, um, called Keepers of the Flame, and that's where you have, people like Davon Reeves and Sheila Johnson and Martinique Lewis and Vaughn Davis. And so, but yeah, I mean, people, I'll just give you a few names.
That's great. Dave
Joseph,
Vaughn's in your book. Dave Vaughn also, does a podcast for
yes,
HNN called
yes,
LinkedIn and
she's in,
Audience.
she,
We
and
should
she
have got her on
deserves,
this too.
yeah, she's in there. And so, I mean, people like, they won't know Joseph Lee. I wrote an article on Joseph
Yeah,
Lee, one of my favorite guys, who had the Woodland Park Hotel. He opened in 1883
yeah,
in Newton, Massachusetts. Barney L. Ford, he had two huge hotels, Interocean in Denver, Colorado, and Cheyenne, Wyoming in 1873.
yeah,
Maggie Sneed, 1909. Rebecca Howard, 1862. The Mount View Resort, Hotel and Resort by a lady named Annie Box and her husband Curly. Curly Neal in Oracle, Arizona, 1895.
yeah.
So I mean, it's and I probably have um I'm gonna say 60 to 70 more of those.
Yeah, yeah. And now we talk about all the time. You're like, I've got thousands of these, Robert. You got so many stories. I can just go on and on and on and on.
Oh man,
Yeah,
I could. It's just and the book itself, it's probably gonna be about 200 and maybe close to 50, 250 pages, maybe.
yeah,
And I can't you know what's gonna be the hardest part, Robert? Deciding which ones go in, because I can't put them all in, of course,
right.
because there were people that had tourist homes and stuff like that, a lot of motels and things so I tried to pick and select the ones
Calvin, it
that
sounds like you
people
got
might
more
think.
than one book in you. Sounds like you might have more than one, two or
Don't
three
say that.
there.
Hey man, you know how hard it was to get this one. Don't say that, but I could
Maybe the,
because
the first one's the hardest, right? But like
yeah,
after you get this
yeah,
one out there, like I know it's been quite a project for you, like getting the
yeah,
funding, but you have
yeah,
great news. You got all the funding in place, so this book is
yes.
coming out soon, right?
Yeah. I'm looking at an 8 to 12 month window. Um, once all of the funding is funneled in, which should be within the next couple of weeks. But yeah, I just feel like I hope everybody that reads this book will be inspired, um, because we're more than slavery, man, and so a lot of stories, and I know that's a very important part of our story, but we are enterprising, creative, innovative people. And so when in a time when we couldn't stay in white owned hotels, we built our own. And that
Right.
in itself, during a time that was so challenging in the nation, is something to really be proud of. And so I wanted to make sure that this book, when people read it, regardless of color, was like, wow, and just really appreciate the contributions that African Americans made to this fabulous industry we know today as hospitality.
Yeah.
You
Like you
know?
said early on, these some of these were boarding houses, right? They just had a couple of rooms or whatever. Some of them
Yeah.
were full-blown hotels, though. Some of them had restaurants. Some of them
Yeah.
served food and beverage, right?
Yes.
I mean, we're
Yes.
not just talking about, an extra room or something like what you call today, like maybe an Airbnb or something
Yeah,
like bed and
man.
breakfast. No, some of
We
these were
we
full-blown hotels, right?
yeah. I mean, because people, we couldn't travel. It was dangerous to travel and drive
Uh-huh.
around and go on vacation. I mean, it could even mean death in some instances for blacks. So, I mean, you had, the Green Book was I mean, it's just a phenomenal resource, and to be able to go to places where blacks were welcome. And yeah, I think we started Airbnbs, man. People were staying with us, going on
That's right.
vacation, you know. So I think a lot of people. I was glad. I don't know when the movie Green Book came out. What was it? 2018, 19?
I
I
looked it
think
up. 1936, I think, was the
no,
first
not
edition
not
of it
not
that
not
printed.
the book
So
is yeah, not the book itself, the movie.
yeah. Oh, the
Um,
movie. The movie came out. Yeah, the movie came
yeah,
out. Um, yeah,
2018.
20, yeah.
I think
Chief,
that movie was, I think, a catalyst to a lot of people that hadn't even never heard of it before, what a
right,
Green
right.
Book was. But
Tell us about
we
that though. It was like so the Green Book comes from the
yeah,
publisher, Victor
yeah,
Hugo Green, right?
Victor Hugo Green. He was a postal worker, in Harlem, and he just started gathering information. Great. The cool thing is that the people that he was working with, he asked them to feed him the information for the book when they were traveling
Mhm.
Where did they go? And he gathered that. Then he worked with some, I think it was Esso gas stations, where he was distributing it. Him and his wife Alma, who a lot of people don't talk about Alma, but she played a significant role in getting that book and getting those published. But that was it. I mean, there when people go, they blacks had to use that book to go from place to place when they were driving
Right.
because there were sundown towns where they couldn't be in certain towns after dark, which could mean death for them. So in some cases, so they had to really a resource like that was just phenomenal, and it went from what 33 to 67.
Yeah.
But Victor, even if as I was writing about him, of course, there's a section in the book about it. He wanted the Green Book to end because he wanted it to for blacks to have equal access wherever they went. So
Right.
he
Right.
you know so he even though it was a necessary resource, he didn't want it to go forever. You know what I mean? So
Right.
um
Absolutely.
so and a lot of those properties that came up during that time were thriving because blacks just didn't have anywhere else to go when they were going from city to city. So, unfortunately, as I always say, it's a blessing and a curse. The Civil Rights Act of 1964, when it opened up, I think it was Lyndon Johnson who signed that into play. Then blacks could stay wherever they wanted to. And
Yeah.
so what ended up happening
Is that, I mean, is that, the history, is that why it stopped printing in the 60s then because of the
yeah,
Civil Rights Act,
yeah,
basically?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because basically it wasn't necessary anymore. Blacks were able to go everywhere where they wanted to stay. So on the negative side of that, flip side of that coin, all these black establishments they just went under
Mhm.
because they all of their patronage was coming from black people.
Now they
So
could
in
go,
some
yeah.
cases, right? But the thing is that's weird. But a lot of people won't even when they read this book, what they're going to realize, Robert, there were some hotels that were black owned back then, but patronized, but only had white clientele.
Yeah.
There are some of those.
Yeah.
There are some situations where you had a few hotels that were owned by white people, but they were built for black people
Okay.
to
Okay.
stay
Yeah.
in, like the Hampton Hotel that is in Miami. I mean, that hotel's still there. It's an event center now and a museum, I think. Um, it was white owned, but all the black stars like Sammy Davis Jr., whoever came down to Miami to perform, they could only stay in that place. And
Okay.
so, but it wasn't black owned. So you
Yeah.
had those. It was just different situations where
Right.
um, um, so you had the black owned hotels for black people, you had the white owned hotels where black people stayed, and then you had
Black
black
owned hotels
hotels
for
where
white
only white
people. And
clientele. Yeah. So
wow.
it's
Yeah.
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 So it's
Yeah.
just runs the gamut. But this book primarily, probably 99% of them are mostly black owned hotels built for African Americans, black people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, man, it's been a great journey. I've learned a lot. I'm still learning stuff, man. I was watching a documentary somebody sent me called The Color of Medicine, and it had another lady in there. Let me see if I got her name. Um, that I didn't even find. Her name was Annie Malone, and she had in St. Louis. She had a hotel there that they also used to train black lawyers. So it's just a lot. It was just a lot. So I'm continuing to learn. Like you said, I might have to have another book
I
because
think I think that's where we're headed here, Calvin. It's the book series, the coffee table book series. So
yeah, yeah. But
I'll have
yeah,
to.
but it's I have hotels in there. Of course, some resorts, black resorts are in there, like Bayshore Hotel and Resort, Martha, the Inkwell, American Beach, Chicken Bone Beach, Highland Beach. I mean, so Idlewild, of course, a lot of people know about that one. So I try to make it, I know when we put this book together, that's going to be the decision who goes in and who doesn't, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure that even if they don't get a full photo, and a profile, I want to make sure that they get a good honorable mention. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because I
Yeah.
just think that, like people like Jimmy Marshall, who had a hotel. I mean, Jimmy Marshall had a hotel in Manhattan in 1900.
Yeah.
Yes, right on the corner,
1900.
1900, and
Yeah.
was super duper successful. Um, and unfortunately, when in situations and during that time, if you were too successful, they would always find ways to make sure you don't continue.
Yeah.
And so your property, his property actually, they actually got him for what did they call it? Color mixing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because actually white people were coming there because he had jazz. They were playing jazz music and everything. Blacks were there, whites were there, mixed, having a great time. And I can't remember, it was this group that was actually put together to kind of go around to black establishments and make sure they were following rules
Stop
and
that.
yeah. It
Yeah.
was called I forgot they were called the nine. I can't remember the exact, but it was nine people that would go around looking, and they kept trying to catch Jimmy doing stuff wrong, and they couldn't. He ran a tight ship.
Yeah.
But then they were like, "Oh, wait a minute, they ain't supposed to be mixing colors in here like this." So they put some stuff in place. So even in that though, um, that's I had to put those kind of things in there because
Yeah.
it still illustrates the strength and perseverance.
Perseverance. Absolutely. It's a good word for
That
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and it's not. That's why I said I want everybody to read this book and feel like, wow, this is amazing that despite the
Yeah.
challenges that the
Yeah.
African Americans face, they still
I mean,
push through.
I think it's absolutely inspiring to read about the challenges, the things that were overcome. That I
Yeah.
mean, obviously,
Hmm.
centuries, in which some of those challenges just weren't going to be overcome for a long time. So you just had to kind of face them day in, day out. But
Yeah.
I thought what
Yeah.
was remarkable in reading some of the articles you've written about the people that you're writing about in your book, the articles you wrote for H&N, that hotels were really a path to prosperity for Black people like so long ago. Like this was a way. I mean, some of them got pretty wealthy. They were like the wealthiest people really in their communities because they
Oh,
were running these
oh
establishments and
man. Let me
so
tell you.
enterprising.
Absolutely. And I mean that was some of the surprising things, like the number of African American millionaire hoteliers, millionaires.
Millionaires. Yeah.
Okay, Robert Reed Church, first Black millionaire hotelier of the South. Dana A. Dorsey, he was Miami's first African American millionaire. Alonzo G. Wright, first African American millionaire in the city of Cleveland.
Yeah.
And Madam Sarah Spencer Washington. I just love her story. One of the first African American female millionaires. A lot of people know about Madam C.J. Walker, of course,
Yeah.
but actually, Madam Sarah Spencer Washington, she was also in the hair care product industry.
Yeah.
But she had a hotel, actually in New Jersey, as well. So I mean, yeah, they it's just unimaginable, and a lot of wealth. And you'll see even when back in the 1900s, I mean, a lot of them, because what I did in the book, of course, when they pass, they'll have money left in some cases,
Yeah.
but then I would translate it to dollars of today, and there are a lot of cases where if it was today's dollar, it would have been like in the millions.
Yeah.
So I mean, you have a lot of situations like that as well.
Right. Right.
Yeah, yeah. Hidden figures, man. Hidden
Yeah.
figures. Hidden
Yeah.
figures of hospitality. Ooh, that might be the new title.
There you go. Eight figures. I got it. I like that. It's good. Good.
Yeah,
Hey, so
man.
Calvin, we were talking about a lot of stuff that happened a long time ago, history, right? But like history is being written every day. Like we're
Yes.
still writing history now. So talk to a
Yes.
little bit about some modern history, some modern Black hotel history that's inspiring to you. Tell me
Yeah.
a story about somebody that you've met out there that's really done something remarkable
You
in
you
the
you know,
hospitality space.
I am glad you asked me that question, Robert, because one of the coolest things about all the stuff in history, you learn from that. So, you don't want that kind of craziness to happen again. So, that kind of environment. But
Yeah.
however, there are still things that are still relevant today. I mean, you look at the environment we're in now.
Yeah.
It's uncertainty. socioeconomic. I mean, you got challenges, civil unrest. It's still a lot of that is still today. Just a
Yeah,
different
unfortunately, you're
just
absolutely
a
right.
different flavor. Just a different flavor. But still as an entrepreneur or even as, an employee, you gotta be able to have that, like we said, iconic mindset, right? And focus on the things you can't control. It's the same thing to me. So there is definitely a tie. Inspirational to me today is I would say um, Sheila Johnson, definitely. And because I just think I know she went through some challenges as well. I mean, I know she just has a new book, which I definitely need to buy. Um, but look at what she's been able to accomplish. Been
Yeah,
fantastic, and the resorts and hotels that she's built um, are just beautiful. And I can't wait to get in one of them. I know she just opened one in Washington D.C., downtown D.C. That used to be a Mandarin.
yeah.
And so
What's that
she's
hotel? What is that?
it's called Salamander Hotels and
Salamander.
Resorts.
Yeah.
Yeah, look her up, man. She's phenomenal. Another person that I just met. I was introduced to this guy, and I don't even know how he flew under the radar the way he did, but he is a guy named Vaughn Davis.
Okay.
Vaughn Davis runs Relevant Hospitality, but he runs a hotel in Hollywood called Dream Hollywood Hotel. But
Hmm.
he has several others. But the guy is definitely, I would say, one of the most innovative and cutting edge hoteliers I've seen. He's into the NFT space, all of that, and he's on another level, and I was super impressed when I met him as well. Of course, what Davon is doing, truly inspirational. I love her heart because she's trying to help um, African Americans get into hotel ownership because we only still own 2 to 3%
Right.
of all the hotels out there. So she's on her mission. I love her for what she's doing. Tracy Prigmore as well, for she has a deal. Um, so all of them are doing, their part in different ways. Martinique Lewis, I think she had a great documentary on Nat Geo last year about historic hotels and tourism and things. So there are a lot of people are out there making a difference. And I think that's just so cool, man. I just think that's awesome.
Yeah.
And just,
Indeed. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
even in your case, Robert, we've been what, since last year? You opened up your door to your magazine to for me to share stories with your readers. And I mean, that's, hey man, I appreciate that as well because it gives me an opportunity to share something that people have not known. And you
Yeah.
opening up that medium for me to do that, even on this podcast, I'm super appreciative of it.
Calvin, you've taught me a lot. Like I said, I always enjoy, I appreciate, enjoy my time spent talking with you. I always learn something. I always feed off of that energy, man. You just got all
Thank
that
you.
great energy,
Thank you.
and I
Thank
just
you.
love it. And it's been such a pleasure, really, to share some of the stories from your book and H&N. And I think we got a couple more, at least a few more, coming up in the can, so people can keep a lookout at Hotel News Now on the CoStar News site for some more excerpts from Calvin's upcoming book, which I said will be, um, I think, heavily distributed and heavily read and widely enjoyed.
That's what I'm
Uh,
praying for.
yeah,
That's what I'm praying
absolutely,
for.
absolutely. Calvin, anything, any closing thoughts you'd like to share?
No, I mean, the only thing I just want to say is that, I'm just again excited about the book and being able to share this information. Um, I just hope people will be inspired to read it with an open mind and just really, because I just believe you can't tell American history without Black history. And I wanted to have an opportunity to share because hey, look, we're all human, we're all people. And I know a lot of, we have a past and I wanted to put something together that would inspire people um, and look towards the future, man. And I just want to a lot of people, like I said, has helped me. And, if you do pick up a copy, share it and let people know, man, because I just think it's going to blow the doors open on some knowledge that people just have never thought about before.
I know you put a lot of time and heart into this project. I know it's all going to come out in print. I can't wait to see a copy of it myself. And
me too. Me too, man.
Tell me where I can get mine. So
you got one, man. I got you. I got you.
What other things? But now that you're kind of wrapping this up, I know you still got some time, some work to put into it. But what other projects have you got on the horizon, and where are you going to be? I know you're out there in the industry all the time. You're traveling around and giving presentations. Where are people going to see you?
Well, you know what? I have, I'm working with an organization now as well called the Advanced Leadership Institute based in Pittsburgh. And actually, the organization has been in play for about 6 years or so now. It's run by the guy that I mentioned earlier, Evan Frazier. He's the CEO, and I'm actually joining. I've been involved with the organization for a while now, and so now I'm leading the executive programs. And so basically, what TALI does for short is prepare African Americans for C-suite positions. Of course, I want to see more in the hospitality industry, across the board. So that I'm heavily involved in, and of course, I'm still speaking. I think my next keynote, actually, it's not really a keynote. It's a training session, a 3-day training session in Outer Banks, which is going to be cool. Yeah. And then I have a healthcare conference that I'm doing in Orlando, and some other, just a mix of stuff. I like to keep myself busy, but I know once this book is going to be a lot of, hopefully, book signings, keynotes, and things of that nature. But the Advanced Leadership Institute is something near and dear to my heart as well, because I've been a C-suite as an African American. It can be challenging sometimes, particularly when you're the only one in the room, Yeah. So I think organizations like TALI are instrumental in helping kind of change the trajectory of and face of C-suite in corporate America. So yeah, so I'm proud to be a part of that. Yeah.
Thank you, Calvin. It's been such a pleasure, as always, talking to you. Thank you for being here with me on the Hotel News Now podcast, and stay tuned for more from Calvin.
Thank you, Robert. I really appreciate your time and advocacy and support, man. This means a lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Calvin.
Hi, I'm Isaac Colazo, Vice President of Analytics at STR.
Hi, and I'm Jan Freitag, National Director for Hospitality Analytics for the CoStar Group. Tune in to our new show, Tell Me More, a hospitality data podcast.
It's a podcast on the global hotel industry, its current trends, what we're thinking about, and where the industry's going.
And we like to have fun with the data too. Find us on hotelnewsnow.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe today.
This episode of the Hotel News Now podcast was recorded on February 7th and edited by Robert McCune. You can find this and other H&N podcasts on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you find podcasts. I'm Robert McCune. Thanks for listening.